Hey adventurers, welcome to the desert. This is a very sandy desert and I want to show you exactly how we're going to find wildlife out here, because we're not just going to wander aimlessly, we're actually going to find tracks in the sand. Now, we've got a little bit of daylight left, which is perfect to show you kind of the things that we'll be looking for before we actually go out and look for the wildlife. So the first thing that's really important is when we find tracks, we want to know what direction the animal was moving. We're going to pretend that my hand is that of a lizard, and we're going to push off the sand in order to go that way. And you can see that there's a mound of sand that's created opposite the direction of movement, because we pushed off of it in order to propel ourselves forward. But we may also see some snakes or some lizards that are moving through the sand like this. Now, you can see that we're pushing sand to the side, and so it's very difficult to tell what direction it's moving, whether it's that way or that way. So instead, if we see something like this from a lizard, we're hoping that afterwards we see little footprints on the ground and we can follow the footprints to know the direction that it's going. When we're looking for snakes, we may see some areas where they are pushing off more, and so we'll have to look for those indentations. And sometimes you can see a little bigger area for the head to help you know that that's the direction the head was facing. And if the head was facing that way, then it's going to be moving that way as well. The other thing that's really important is that you need a good, strong flashlight. And what we're going to be doing is we're going to shine the flashlight low to the ground in order to see the shadows that are formed from these little trails. Now, if I shine my light directly above, it's really difficult to see where the tracks are because there isn't a shadow that's produced by from the sand that gets piled up. So instead, I have to bring my flashlight really low to the ground, and then you'll be able to see the shadows and you'll be able to find those tracks a little bit easier. Well, the sun's gone down, but right before, we're going to wait a little bit longer before we start trying to track things. But I'm out in the Arava desert, which is a subsection of the Negev desert in Israel. But the things that you'll learn here should apply to any sandy desert. So if you're in the Sahara, for example, it's going to be the same sort of logic. Any sandy area where you have reptiles that really thrive in these sand dunes. So we'll see snakes that are able to, hopefully we'll find them. Hopefully we'll find snakes that can bury themselves in the sand. We'll find lizards that can swim in the sand. So it applies to any of those sandy regions that you may be looking for stuff. So it's actually pretty dark now. So I might start walking on the sand dune and seeing if we can start to find some of the trails of these species. All right, we have our first set of tracks here. So I'm showing you at a low angle so you can really see the shape of it, but this is from something that was using a snake-like pattern in here. This is from the wedge-snouted skink. Now, if I go up a little bit, you'll see I have some footprints. So it'll come in and out of the sand. And if you look closely, you'll see that there's more sand on this side. So it's moving that direction. So we'll see if we can follow these. You can see it kind of is swimming everywhere. Now, when they're in the root systems of these bushes, they're kind of difficult to dig for. But we're going to see, at least if we can follow it up. It looks like it went that way, went maybe into a little burrow up there, came around, and it's possibly under there. This would be really cool if it works. So let's hope for the best and take a look to see if anybody's under here. There it is. Oh, okay. Gotta be careful. I don't want to accidentally grab its tail. But here is that skink underneath the ground. That was so cool. This is that skink that was making those trails in the sand. You can see, if we look closely at his snout, let's make sure it's in focus. There we go. You can see how shoveled, how angled it is, and it's perfect for digging under the sand here. But you can see they have very short legs, and so they're going to be moving in a serpentine motion through the sand. And so I'll clear off just a little bit, and he'll probably dig in right away. Yep, just like that, he disappears. Very cool. All right, again, we have some footprints here. You can see the direction of travel is that way, and they're a little bigger than what we had before. So I think it's not another skink, it's probably a lizard. It's moving up this way, and then the sand is packed pretty hard over here, so I can't see the trail anymore. All right, I found the creature that made those tracks. He'd moved up a little bit more. This is a gecko. It's pretty large. I think this is the Middle Eastern short-fingered gecko. These geckos generally, when they run, they have their tail up, so you won't see that in the tracks like we saw before. Where'd he go? He's still here. There he is, but beautiful coloration. They really are gorgeous geckos out here. All right, if you look closely, you can see his tracks here. You can even see his little toe prints. And of course, he is right here, right next to his track. So very cool to see this guy. Okay, so this is actually from a snake. That's kind of the pattern of its ribs. And we can follow that up to, boom, to a snake right here. And here is a really good example of the trail that he makes. It's kind of moving around, but you can see the ribs are all there the whole time. So that's one way that you can make out these snakes. Very cool. Now, this is the Arabian horned viper, and it is venomous, so we will keep our distance a bit, but it's nice and cooperative at the moment, so very, very cool to see. Well, hopefully now you know a little bit more about how to track things in the sand. I even still have some trails here, although I think those are from some of the beetles that are running around. But that should help you the next time you're in a very sandy habitat like this to find some of the reptiles that love this sand. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Greg Schechter. This is Schechter Natural History, and I'll see you in the field.